We are as far apart as we can possibly be when it comes to time zones and stuff.
We're
so I'm
in
not surprised
the
if we have a
worst
small
time
bit of lag.
zones. And we're
Yes,
like an hour
it's
late on this,
insane.
Click.
It's probably
I
it's
know.
probably also my mwah, chef kiss internet. Australian internet's just mwah, chef's kiss. Perfect.
It's basically a kangaroo on a little bike trying to cycle and create some kind
It's
of
not even a
electricity
kangaroo,
for the
it's a
router.
wallaby.
Oh God!
Trying
We
to
don't
pump
even
out
have-
True
that
that I read some.
Marvel internet
I read
gas.
somewhere that koalas eat eucalyptus leaves.
Yes.
And
Yes.
in their stomach they essentially create a yeast with alcohol. So
Yeah.
they are essentially
They're constantly
drunk
drunk
their entire
all the time.
lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I mean, evolution dealt them such a good hand. Oh my God!
But then
Literally,
again,
I mean,
on
right?
the other
they're,
side
they're
of
like
that,
this.
yeah, they've got
What are you
double
doing?
thumb. They've got
They've
double
got two
thumbs.
thumbs.
Oh yes, 2 thumbs up. Anyway, speaking of 2 thumbs up, good evening. Good evening, crewmates, aka shippers, and welcome to the Ship Podcast. My name is The Click, and I'm doing this podcast with my co-host one topic at a time.
Hello.
But today we have a special guest with us. Do you want to introduce yourself to the lovely squad fam at home?
Hi, I'm Kyte. I'm the OT's Discord mod. A lot of people will know me as Indoor Kyte.
Yes, that's true.
Not bad. So how is it working for one topic on his Discord? Is he a
It's
mess
horrible.
or is he?
It's
Oh,
horrible.
shush! No, it's not. It's
So
all
when-
been run really smoothly, actually. It's not too big. It's like 150 people now, or so.
Help me.
It's the
Oh,
oh,
that's
come
pretty
on.
chill.
No,
It's,
it's great.
um,
Yeah.
It's a supporter Discord, so everyone that is there wants to be there, instead of like a general Discord where it's just havoc, and random
There's-
people
Oh,
jumping in.
was that a peek towards my massive Discord? That is a wreck.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing is that you actually have active players on the Minecraft server, so that's a big plus.
That has been interesting. But sorry, Kite. Yeah, go ahead.
There's nearly 200 people. There's about 180.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
Damn.
and it's pretty consistently active. I mean, right now there's 2 people in the voice chat.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has been
Nice.
increasing lately. I've liked that. I've liked being able to. I've enjoyed being able to just drop in and see people on and saying hi and then quickly dipping out because I want to sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
kind of
but
nice.
It's almost consistently run. Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's
The mods are
kind of
pretty
interesting. Kind of interesting how we fell into that. Kite, before we started recording, we talked a little bit about how we originally met. Do you want to run us
Yeah.
through that? You've got a slightly better
Ooh la
memory than I do
la.
on this, especially since it's 6 hecking a.m. for me right now.
good.
yes.
We played. You were streaming, and we played Jackbox, and we played Murder Party, and I stole the body. That's where it originated. I came in and just stole that body from you.
If anyone's not familiar, when you
just,
play this game, it's like a trivia game. And at the very end, you have the option of... so only one person can survive, only one person is alive, and then everyone else is trying to steal the life in order to win. And the way we were doing that is saying, because the ghosts don't have a corporeal form, so we're saying, whoever's alive has the body. And I was saying, I am going to keep this body, I'm going to be alive forever, all of you are going to die. And then Kyte comes in, like the mad lad he is, and destroys me.
So you guys met by kind of essentially just stealing your body. One topic.
Yeah,
Did, yeah.
I was
and
less
it was
than stoked about
it was a
that.
long while before he got it back.
Like 2 additional streams, I think.
Yeah, and then someone else came and stole it.
That's right. There's like fan art about it too, about the events that took place.
Yeah, now
God.
now it's Mordor. That's one of the stream's favorite games.
Yeah,
Whenever-
I should get
whenever
back
you
into
bring
it.
up. Yeah,
I've
people
been
like.
I
playing a lot
remember
of
you-
Subnautica lately.
You invited me on to play Jackbox one topic,
Yeah,
and
that was
nobody
fun.
explained to me that the last round you could actually. It was not only the person in the lead answering questions; it was also the other people. Because I asked it specifically. I remember, like, "Hey, do we still answer questions?" Like, no. Okay, and I like died out of nowhere. Like, why did I die? Like, oh, didn't you answer any questions? Like, this is just my excuse of saying
Clearly
I would
there was a
obviously have won
misunderstanding.
otherwise.
Yeah.
It's OT sabotaging you.
No. I never
Yes.
sabotage anyone. I'm
He
always
can be a little.
I'm always careful about being fair because I don't
Oh,
want
he
to be
can be a-
accused
he
of
can
things
be a
like
little
this, especially
raw
in a podcast. Thanks very much.
Like, in all seriousness, it's actually disgusting how kind you are. Like, whenever you like Saru and I will try and troll you, and then you try and troll us back, and then literally 30 seconds later you're like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Stop.
Oh.
Yeah, like it's people like you are genuinely this kind. And it's annoying.
No,
Like,
I'm just acting. It's just for the videos.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah. You should see what he does behind the scenes. My God, he's a little rascal.
Yeah, behind the scenes you can't even swear.
Get out of here, dude.
Although I have seen that in the videos for Sad Milk, for example, where I'm not there, you have occasionally dropped the curse joke, and I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, honestly, before we do those recording sessions, I'll usually like Google a few things and I'll research stuff. So I've got something in the canon beforehand, and then I'll be able to drop it in the video, or I'll remember some joke you've made in a video. So yeah, it's just me trying to fit in, because it's not.
It's you
and
stalking Click.
I did that for a recording I did with you recently, Click, for your channel. Fellow Kids, I think.
Oh my God, yeah, we were such boomers. We were sitting in that entire thing like, hey, topic, that's not very mood of you. Like,
I had Googled a lexicon of Zoomer words, and
Okay,
I decided to drop them
Now
out
I'm
throughout
feeling
the
like
video.
a boomer. What is that's not very mood of you?
Oh, mood? Oh, ooh, fam. That's a big fat mood right there.
Oh, I know what mood is,
Yeah.
but that's not
No,
very
we were using
mood
it
of you.
incorrectly.
Oh, okay.
oh yeah, you were like doing everything incorrectly on purpose. It was
Yeah.
so funny to record. I'm looking forward. I still haven't edited that one, but I'm gonna try to do it today or tomorrow. And I'm just looking forward to cutting all those like little moments that are like out of context of us just not getting Zoomer terms. Like, hey fellow lit.
Yes. I was like, that's very Gucci. Fam. It's like in the recording of me scrolling through trying to find the next phrase.
Oh, it's like imagine a couple of tourists who are completely lost, and I have this little hand-hold like dictionary from the 90s, and like looking up phrases like that's very lit of you, squad fam.
Yeah, it reminded me of a Monty Python sketch. It was fun. Kyte, you're
Yes.
sort of the first guest that we've had on in a little while that doesn't specifically do YouTube yet. We started interacting through YouTube comments, I think, originally, where you'd left some really positive comments, and I'd gone ahead and just went boop boop and did like a thumbs up and a little.
You loved my
There it is,
comments
little
because
heart.
I'm so witty.
Aww.
My comments were just so funny and witty, and you just loved
They must
them.
have been, yeah, because I usually go through and I like whichever comments are positive or I feel like are building like a good community, especially back in the early days where I was like, oh, I'm going to read through every single one and I'm going to be so excited every morning. I spend like 2 hours and I'm like at my day job, definitely working, and just like scrolling through their comments and liking everything.
Well, I think the way I found you also was through Oz. Like,
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
I've been watching Oz for a while, and then your video was recommended to me. So I saw it and I liked it, and I was like, all right, let me check this chap out. And I really enjoyed your stuff. I think I left like the first comment I left that you liked was something like, "Oh, I'm new here. Or this is cool," or something generic like that. But yeah, I was like, I really like this dude's stuff. And then I find out you guys are friends. Ugh.
Oh, that was a long while later. You and I were
Yeah.
talking ages before then.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh yeah,
Click
we
and I
haven't
only-
been friend for that. That it feels like a long time.
I slid
End of
into
November, I
the
think.
yeah,
I
I
think
slid
the end of
into the
November,
Instagram DMs.
That's right. Hang on a second.
Oh,
I
yeah.
forgot about that.
Oh yeah, look
Um,
it up. Look up the first DMs.
Oh my god, who
yeah,
messaged
yeah.
who first?
Okay, all right. Let's place your bets right now.
Okay,
I
and
think-
count the words. Count the words. Who was the most needy in the conversation?
I'm pretty
No, that's
sure it
gonna
was
take
me.
too long. But hang on, let me scroll up. I'm almost at the top. We had a lot of conversations, Kyte. Oh my goodness.
Jesus
For
Christ,
clarification,
one
I do not
topic.
ever check my Instagram messages. Like I'll go through and I'll see who sent a recent message, but I don't use Instagram at all.
This was also back ages ago, like nearly a year ago.
Yes, it was me in response to something. I think I'm missing some context here. Because this was in reference to one of the trans videos that I did, where we were talking about surprise penis, and I called it bonus content.
Oh, because it was. I think it was you wanted me to design you some merch.
I received the offer from you to design something.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, here's an idea, and I threw it at you.
Yeah, but Refclass is definitely superior.
Wait, so was this merch idea in theme of this conversation? Was it like printed a penis picture on the outside of your pants?
No,
was that
it was
the merch?
the Star Wars. It was
Admiral
a trap.
Akbar.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
Oh, it's a trap. Oh.
But replacing that,
That is so good.
because that language is not really positive.
No.
So changing
It's a bit
that
derogatory, yeah.
to, instead of saying it's a trap underneath, to instead saying bonus content. It's like bonus content.
Oh my god.
Because I've never really understood the whole like if you're attracted to someone, kind of go with the flow. Don't get super mad at someone. Like in what's that film? Is it Train Spotting, where someone gets surprised and then has a very negative reaction to being surprised, instead of just rolling with things. Like I get that it's not everyone's expectation to be surprised, but it's how you deal with situations that really shows what kind of person you are. So just try to deal with things in a positive way. You know?
And I mean, just you don't also like with that as well. You don't have to, you don't have to go. All right, well, I have to do this. You can say no politely.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't have to turn into an
yes.
altercation. Which
No,
is
no,
why
like being
people
mad
get,
and
like,
making the situation worse. Yeah.
Yeah, and
No, I think that's fair, and because there are different ways people handle things like that in general, and it comes to, I think we'll all notice that in our friends group and stuff when it comes to general surprises. Some people take it very lightheartedly, and some people get very mad very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But in a situation like that, I would say that, I mean, it's fine if you don't want to do it because it's something unexpected, and everybody should be able to choose about their own intimacy. But at the same time, you don't have to make the situation worse. You can take it lighthearted and make a fun thing out of it. That's the best way to deal with most things in life, honestly. Very few things are life or death.
Kyte, I think as an Australian, that's kind of how you tackle most things in life. But you do have a very, very funny story of how you could have taken something quite negatively and instead spun it in a fun way. And I really wanted you to share that with Click. So
I kind of want to hear that.
I've been carefully not sharing it with him. But this inspired me to hound after you and be like, please be a guest on the podcast.
all right, so a slight bit of setup.
Yes, set the scene.
I came out several years ago as trans because if people don't know, I'm a trans man. And Mum decided to do something cute, and in the courier mail put a birth retraction in the births and deaths sort of notices, going, oops, we got it wrong. And it was,
honestly super sweet.
Yeah,
I like that so much.
It was really sweet. It was really cute. And so that blew up overnight. So Mum comes in the morning before she heads off to work and goes, here's $2, go buy a courier mail. And I was like, you've never asked me to buy a courier mail. She's like, no, you just got to go get it. And I'm like, all right.
So courier mail, is that a newspaper in Australia?
Yeah, it's paper newspaper. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's also, Murdoch. So, not a very accurate newspaper. So I flicked through it going, whatever. But by the afternoon, before she even got back, it had blown up around Twitter. It'd gone global. And
Jesus.
Yeah, we were on the phone with the courier mail. They wanted to do a big piece on it that night to go for the next day. Yeah, it went big. And I got on to an interview, and I can't remember if it was TV or radio or whatever, but I was talking to these two people, and one of the blokes goes, so when are you going to get surgery? And I get uncomfortable with those things. I went, are you circumcised? How big's your dicker? And he, and he was obviously uncomfortable with that, going, what? And sort of stumbling. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were asking each other inappropriate medical questions.
Ooh, oof. Oh.
But yeah, like the female host, I can't remember their names for the life of me. I am so sorry. I'll try and find it. But she obviously she was a bit sort of, mate, why the hell did you ask that? So once I did my retort back, she was very trying to, like, she wanted to be with her host partner, but she was laughing.
I think the way you phrased it to me before was he said something like, "What's in your pants?"
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
that? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, like
So then
you
your
know,
retort was just like
the
extra
question,
biting back.
That-
It was just like,
what
Jeez,
were
that's
you-
not even a.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you, that's not even a classy way of asking it. Like the
No.
question itself is kind of invasive, and then you phrase it like that on top of it. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
I think you tried to get a little PC for the podcast here, but it's okay. You can let loose.
I don't think you want the Australian letting loose.
No, that's fair. Maybe not all the way, but we can tick the meter up a little bit. Just not
So,
all Australian. Just
I'll
like a little.
sit slightly between you and Click. So
Oh,
I
you were
won't.
talking about that sandwiching us or sandwiching me. Is that how you?
Oh yeah,
put it?
that in this.
Well,
ooh,
you're about to
yes.
get trolled, but you've got me who trolls you all the time.
Yeah, constantly. You run my Discord, and you're always trolling me.
I have ultimate power.
Come on.
Well, it is fun to troll one topic. Did you see? Oh, did you see what I did for April Fools on my server?
No, I didn't. What'd you do for April Fools?
So what I did is that on Discord I changed my name to One Topic at a Time, changed my profile to his profile, so everything looked the same. Then I renamed my server to One Topic at a Time and changed the picture. And then I did an announcement and added everyone and said, "Hey, the Click is pursuing alternative careers, so I have stepped in to take over his server. I hope you all have a good time. Thank you." As in the name of One Topic. People were like freaking out. The thing, though, I like to mention is that people were super hyped about One Topic stepping in and taking over. So I was kind of sitting there like, what? Come on. What? Nobody said they're missing me. They just said how awesome he is. Like, frick.
Do you remember that campaign from a while ago, Click? Like, you're never more than 6 steps away from Kevin Bacon?
More than 6. Do you mean people you know?
Yeah.
How many people you...
So
Yeah, it's even
if-
less.
if
I
you-
think it's even less than 6 steps, but...
from Kevin
Or is
Bacon,
it-
yeah. So with us, whenever someone makes a comment on something I've done, we're only ever one comment away from someone being, "Oh, I like him," and the Click, and then it derailing completely to being just a conversation about you. And it's so consistent, it's embarrassing, sir. Like when I was on the furry subreddit and I saw I saw a post, like someone had capped part of my video and put it up on there. And like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, he likes furries, that's so cool." And then immediately next comment, Click. But then I see someone else comment about me, and then immediate next comment about you. It's just like, we're two different people.
Are you
Well,
though?
we are being shipped now, so I mean, we are essentially
Pretty
online.
hardcore.
We're kind of
Yeah.
merging.
You
I
are
think
one
even if you
being.
search our names, and that goes for both of us, if you type in One Topic at a Time or the Click in the YouTube search bar, one of the first options suggested is with the Click and One Topic, and the other way around if you search for his
That's
name
true.
first.
That's true. I don't mind it, to be honest. I don't mind that we're friends, but I might sometimes I mind, actually. No, I do
I
mind.
was about to say, are you
no.
sure?
So
Kind
how
of
do you-
sounds
how
like
do
you
you-
mind.
it seems like the gentleman in the interview was pretty clumsy about how to ask questions and what questions can be asked, and then definitely phrased it what I would consider the wrong way. How do you think people can go about asking questions? What's like a non-offensive way of asking things? And then what do you think is like a little bit out of bounds, even if someone's just trying to like passively understand or positively understand the community at large or an individual that they're speaking with?
Well, first of all, the internet is your friend.
Yes.
Um,
JFGI.
You know, I mean, it's not exactly every trans person's role to teach you about everything. The internet is your friend. If it's a general question, I would suggest go to the internet first. Unless you're obviously very close friends with a trans person or something like that, the internet is usually the best bet. But, you know, that just means you have to do your research and not just go on the first thing. But I'm a pretty open guy. So a lot of the times questions aren't... It depends on intent for me. You know, like with the bloke in the interview, the intention was to get clickbait. That's like, whether it was malicious or not, the intention was clickbait. Trans guy, what's in their pants? You know, clickbait.
Yeah.
So
Very flashy title.
yeah, in you know, intention is very, very important. But also, like, just especially if it's medical related, things like top surgery, like something as, in quotes, simple as top surgery, it's still a medical procedure and is still part of their medical history, which is, quite frankly, no one's business unless they want it to be your business. But I would just usually, respect is where it's at. And if that person turns around and goes, I'm not actually comfortable answering that, then don't push. Go to the internet. The internet is your friend. Yeah, intention is where it's at. Like, I've had people ask that question, you know, what's in your pants and things like that, in a far more respectful way, you know, because people are curious beings. We are curious beings. We want knowledge. But yeah, intent and respect is, we're people too. We are human beings as well. Just basically, if you're unsure about whether or not you should ask this question, ask yourself, would you feel uncomfortable if someone asked you that question?
Yeah, describe your genitals.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's a little bit invasive. What would you say is a smooth way of asking something like that? Presuming someone is very curious. If they have to ask, what would be a reasonable way to ask it?
Well, to be honest, I don't think they're... the only people who really need to know what's in your pants are your doctor and your partner. You know,
That's true.
Unless you have intent of a potential relationship, whether it be, you know, just one time fun time or an ongoing relationship, usually asking people what's in their pants is, I think, generally inappropriate.
It is a weird question. I don't think I've ever walked up to someone in a bar going like, "Hey, so what's in your pantaloons there, good sir?" It's like, It's
One of the few times it's ever happened to me, I've brought it up with you, Click, is when I'm out on a Tinder date or something. And I've met some people that are just very, very shallow, and I can kind of tell that in the interaction initially, so I try to have some fun with it. And I just give like the lowest number I can. I'm just like, oh, it's so petite. It's like the smallest thing ever. And then anyone who's like super shallow just biggity bounce right there, because they're like, oh, that's not what I want. I want a third arm.
A third leg. It's like you
third
put a
leg,
shoe on
right.
it so it doesn't,
That's how it is.
scrape on the ground.
Exactly. And it's always a weird thing when I've received that question. And I'm... Oh, did my computer just turn off? Uh-oh.
No, it's still on for us. We can still hear you and see you.
Okay, sweet. All right. Okay, move my mouse. Yeah. My heart. Kyte, are you familiar? Yeah, I think you are. I think we've talked about him before. Jamie Dodger?
Jamie Dodger.
Yeah, Jamie on YouTube?
Yes, you did bring him up, didn't you?
Yeah. He's got a lot of videos on... because he did... top surgery, and I think later on, I don't think it was all in conjunction, I think later on did bottom surgery, and then opted for very specific procedures over another procedure. And I think that was, at least from my going through his history of videos, I think that was his first time delving into that subject, was just because it was medical related, comparing the pros and cons of different procedures. And why one person might go for one procedure versus another procedure. So the stories being less about the self and more about like the options that are available out there.
Yeah.
And I really liked that, because it wasn't like, here's what I've got going on. It's like, if you're going through this, here are your options for what you can expect and what the potential results can be. And as someone who, when I was growing up, I really wanted to be a doctor back in the day. And I watched a lot of like medical procedures and videos and stuff. I find that super fascinating, to hear about different surgeries and different procedures. And then when people can affirm who they are through a procedure, I find that just such a positive thing to see. But Jamie's got a real sense of humor about things. Some of his recent videos were reacting to like hate DMs with his partner.
Yeah, and straight pride Instagrams and stuff like that.
Yes.
No.
I've mentioned straight pride in a couple of videos, and it's like, oh, all 2 people showed up. Ooh.
God, that parade was so pathetic.
It was, and that's the thing. A lot of people give the straights a hard time, the straights generally at large. But if you look at the turnout for the straight pride, it's like, okay, out of all the potential straights that are out there, these are the ones that are the issue. Most of the others are fine, but it's such an infinitesimally small proportion of the populace that are actually like the bad.
They're just
the
so
bad straights.
loud.
They are so loud.
Obnoxious.
Oh, that's kind of the issue with like any group, I would say. Like any group has that more. I don't even think it's correlated with a specific group. It's like it seems that wherever you look, you have that loud minority, and you're just looking at them. Why are you doing this? Please just shush. No.
The way you reacted to that interview kind of reminded me of the interview from, it's from a meme from a long time ago, but the guy says, "Why are you gay?" And
Oh
then-
yeah, that meant that. Yeah.
the reaction to that, it caught me so off guard. Both the question, but then the reaction to that was so smooth and so positive. It reminded me of yours because yours was just like right off the bat, like, all right, you ask me something that's not super comfy, I'm going to ask you something that's not super comfy. So when people ask you questions, you think probably the first step is Google the stuff, so you can either like avoid the question then, or you can be more informed about how to ask it, and then from there maybe not ask it at all because it's more respectful not to. Is that kind
Yeah,
of?
well, if you find your answer, if it's a general sort of thing, if you find your answer, you don't really have to continue. You could then maybe question it in a way that's what's their experience instead of, because I'm pretty open, I'm pretty comfortable. That was right at the very start. Like, quite literally, I had just come out. It was 3 days after Mum put that notice in. So 3 days after I had just come out. I was a wee tiny little trans boy. And, being 5 years on now, I'm pretty sure, about 5 years on now, I'm elder trans boy. Because 5 years, in that span of time, I've basically gone through puberty again. So think of that puberty time in that short amount of time. But yeah, in general, if it's a general question, internet's best bet. Go look at other people's experiences who have talked about it. Because if they put it on the internet, they're probably pretty open about it. And then maybe you could, if you really, really must, you could probably ask them for their experience, to help understand them a bit more. But intent is definitely the main thing.
I guess that's like a general thing for asking most kinds of questions. Just imagine walking up to someone. Imagine if I come up to you on topic and, there's one thing asking, oh, what's your experience growing up in Canada? Or I can say, hey, what's the deal with all them Canadians? It's like one of the questions is me expecting you to be an ambassador for an entire group that you happen to be a part on some level. And the other one is just asking, okay, so what's your experience with this subject that you happen to be a part of?
Yeah, the way you normally phrase things is like, is everything made of maple syrup?
It's a very serious question.
But
I
is
still haven't
everything
received
made
a
of
serious
maple
answer.
syrup?
There was a bit of
Exactly,
controversy
that's what I've been asking.
a number of years ago where the Canadian Mint had to come out and say, no, we don't actually manufacture our money using maple syrup, because if you take the paper bills, because they're coated in a very specific plastic now, so you can wash them, you can hand wash them, stuff. Super handy right
that's
now,
cool.
by the way. You can wash our money.
Indeed.
Thanks Australia for the help on creating that money.
You're welcome.
If you leave it in a wallet or an envelope and you just don't touch it for a while and then you open it up and smell it, it smells just like maple syrup. So, so they had to explain to the populace
Oh.
at large, being like, "No, we don't actually do it. It's because of a chemical reaction." Everyone read through that and went, like, "Nah, it's probably maple syrup."
To be fair, it probably is maple syrup.
Oh, can we start producing merch for the podcast that has something to do with maple syrup?
We've talked. So
Maple
I've got the
syrup
Waffle
covered
House going,
meatballs.
and that
Mm.
just you and I drawings of you and I covered in maple syrup. Just
Yes.
I'm pretty
Yes, just
sure
drenched
Ref
in
has
that.
already done that.
oh god.
Wait, what? What?
No, not
Yeah,
I
not
gotta,
you.
I gotta
Go
chat
on.
with.
Oh, I'm sad now. I'm sad.
Probably just
Okay,
me.
so
Yeah.
so our future one topic is selling signed pictures of us in lewd positions being slimed down
Okay.
with maple
So
syrup.
this kind of the conversation is that we're actually going to save this for the bonus episode of the podcast, and we're going to get back on track.
Yeah, so if you want to hear more about me and one topic in lewd positions covered in maple syrup, check out our Patreon and go to the bonus episode.
Bonus content.
Yes.
Indeed.
By the
So-
way, ship podcast OnlyFans now available.
Stop. Anywho, yeah, back to the bonus content. It's something that we didn't end up going forwards with, Kyte. I talked to you a little bit about it, but the more that we went back and forth about the different designs, the more I loved them, and the more removed I felt from the meme, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I loved the designs you came up with, but I also didn't want to be someone not part of the community, kind of profiting from the community, as it were.
I think it also was just too long after the video as well.
Yeah.
So the meme cycles had already, you know how memes have such a short lifespan. It had already passed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I don't know. I felt a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
From an outsider's perspective, I think everyone in the community would understand, but from an outsider's being like, "What?"
Yeah,
So I
you-
wanted to
you
kind
do
of
get a
avoid
lot of that.
But so you talked a little bit about right interview. So we talked a bit about the interview, and we talked a bit about questions. Sorry, just making sure the recording was still running.
Just doing a dance there.
So what are some other stories you can tell us about your experience? Do you feel overall things have been pretty positive?
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, there was a very stark difference without getting a little dark, but not quite. My mental health before I came out was very bad. You know, I was closeted. My dysphoria was through the roof. But the coming out, you know, just telling mum, hey, you know, you don't have a daughter, you have a son. That moment alone got rid of so much panic and relief. So even just coming out, not let alone this 5 years on, and I've had surgery and things like, and hormone replacement therapy and stuff like that. I know it's such a cliche. It does get better. It's such a cliche. But whilst it's not been a straight trajectory up, it does dip and flow, and even now it dip and flows. Like even now I still get dysphoria and things like that. But in general, the whole lot has up. It's gone up. So as cliche as it is, and as much as we don't like celebrities saying it, as much as it annoys us because we sit there and go, you have millions of dollars, of course it gets better. But it does get better. You will find that people love you. You will lose people. I've lost many a friend after I came out, people who I thought were my best friends. But I've also gained far more than that. I've gained, thanks to OT, I've now gained a wonderful boyfriend. And yes.
Did you meet?
It's not
Oh,
thanks
did
to
you
me.
meet?
This thanks
Wait,
to
did you
you.
meet on the server or something like that?
Yeah, someone I met on the
Oh.
server. But
Aw.
yeah, I know, right? He's a sweetheart. I'm pretty sure during the premiere or whatever, he will loudly yell out, "Me!" I'm sure he will make it known.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
But yeah, you will find people that love you. You will find people that have shared experiences. You know, I was very lost. I mean, before I came out, and just interacting with this. I didn't have a label. I know some people are like, "Oh, I don't want to be labeled," but when you've got something not necessarily wrong but different that's happening, you want to put a label on it. You want to be able to go, "Oh, that's what is," at least in my obviously in my experience. A lot of people have explained it as, male brain, female body, whatever. The sort of you're just in the wrong body. But that wasn't my experience at all. My experience was it is my body. It just grew the wrong bits. If that makes sense. So and I thought because it was so pushed, this common, it's, you're just in the wrong body, that I was the minority there. But after I'd, opened myself up to people, I am a lot more social now than I ever was. You find that people have eerily similar experiences, and you'll find people who, especially some of us elder trans, I guess I'm not really elder, I'm a mid-tier.
Teen.
I'm a teen. No, I'm out of my teen phases.
Okay.
But about mid. You'll find people who, people are a lot better than we give them credit for.
They can be.
A lot of the loud people are annoying and just bad, but people are a lot more open than they give them credit.
You don't live in, I'd say, like the most open, welcoming country out there. I know, like, America is generally the place we point at and go, "Oh God, that place is awful. Oh, I wouldn't like to live there." But
what accent was that?
That's English.
What?
Reaching back to my heritage there. Yeah, that's kind of northern.
Okay,
Anyways,
Jon Snow.
And I would have pet the dog.
Oh,
that's all I'm going to say.
in the north.
I would have pet the dog.
You know nothing, Jon
Anywho.
Snow.
That's the that
I can
her accent's
snow on
different, but
you,
that's fine.
John.
Oh God, I can't stop. Okay, so you live in Australia, and that's a little bit of a different environment. We talked a little bit about your prime minister and his beliefs and whatnot, but it's not like the easiest place to exist. As someone, as you mentioned, who's in somewhat of the minority of people is. But even with your experience of being in the minority, you still found coming out being the more positive experience, like living on the other side of that.
Yes, right? Yeah. Well, just solely for my own sanity. I mean, that's a joke, but genuinely, I knew I was that I was actively closeted because I knew exactly what it was about grade 11 high school. But I made the conscious decision to not come out during high school because high school students are not the nicest. But, that was 5 years ago. Not 5 years ago. Oh, God, I'm old. 2012 was when I was in grade 11, so in between 2012 2013. So that ages ago now. Kids are obviously learning more and a lot nicer than they were back then. But I actively made the decision because I knew that the environment that I was in, like, I barely survived as me, let alone coming out as a trans. Like, because I was the token lesbian, because I didn't know I was bi, but I knew I liked women. So even that was rough. So to come out as something completely different, like trans, because yes, it was only 7 years ago now, but trans was still something unknown, especially female to male trans. A lot of the things you see around trans is male to female. And especially in a country where gay marriage was not legal. We only just recently legalized that, like a couple years ago. And only recently did Queensland remove, I say recently, it's been a couple years, but within the decade, the Gay Panic Act, where if you were to be hit on in a bar, or even if you weren't, you were able to take the life of someone and say, I thought they were hitting on me. That was, that was
Wait,
just yes. That was just
Jesus Christ.
recently. But, as even in that situation, and even being in a country where we're not, Australia is great.
Sometimes.
But even being in that sort of situation, the better thing, absolutely the better thing, was when I came out. I felt so much relief after I came out. But this is not me saying you have to come out. I just wanted to... If it's not your time, you come out when you're ready. You don't... It's for you. Everyone's like, oh, people need to know. No, they don't. And even if you do come out, you don't have to tell people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really anyone's business. Especially because it is risky. But in general, cliche, it does get better. You will find people who love you. OT is one of those people. Click is one of those people. OT is sickeningly nice, and Click can be nice when he wants to be.
No,
behind the scenes, Click is a real sweetheart.
Yeah.
But
Aww.
credit where credit's due. He's a very nice lad.
He's always wooing.
Yeah, but you wouldn't expect that. Like, especially my first few dives into Click's videos, I was very put off by him. Not necessarily in a negative way. It's just he was so convincing with his, not bedroom eyes, because I couldn't see him, but I guess bedroom voice.
It's like the equivalent of raising your eyebrows. Hello there. Yeah.
Yeah, that. So because he never broke character in the videos that I was scrolling through, I was like, I'm uncomfortable. But then as soon as I realized, like, he did one video where he was doing the voice and they got halfway through a meme and stopped and was like, wait, what? And I was like, oh, he's a real person.
You have a normal voice?
Exactly.
Oh my god, you don't talk like a crazed sex robot all the time? Oh my god.
And so I was pleasantly surprised to hear that there was a guy behind the voice, and as I went further through, I learned more about his personality and reached out to him directly, and then he's been nothing but nice to me ever since, unless he's tired and cranky. And then, because for some reason you actually require a full night's sleep. I think out of our whole crew, you're the only one that not only requires a full night's sleep, but gets a full night's sleep.
What is sleep?
Yes, I've always been like that. I think it's also because I've become more militant about it, because if I don't push for it hard, I'm in a different time zone apart from everyone else. So unless I push for it, I sit up every day until 3 a.m. And that would kill me.
I totally
I've
do
swapped
that.
most of my... That's right, Kyte. I've swapped most of my daily hours to match yours for the majority of the week there, Click, so that we can work on our different projects together.
You guys are so cute. Ugh.
Yes,
And
now
Kyte...
you're in between us here. You're just sitting here in between us. Imagine us in a couch here sitting in between us, and we're kind of like flirting across over you.
Well, you guys are also like a foot taller than me.
Yeah, easily. You're a very short lad.
How tall are you?
I'm only 5'3".
This is always ooh,
Yeah.
very compact.
I'm.
The good thing though is that when you're shorter, something I've noticed among my friends, it's much easier to look buff. That is
Yes, well,
that
I
is a
do
big
Kite
have.
actually
plus.
I
lifts.
do actually have
You go to
quite
the
a
gym and
stocky
stuff.
figure.
Yeah, so when early days when I went onto Kite's Instagram when we started communicating, I'm like, wow, what a very handsome lad, and I really
Stalking
liked
that
your
gram.
hairstyle. I don't know if you can. I'm on a different camera for our call, but yeah. So my hairstyle is similar to some of the other earlier pictures I saw in there, where you had like the shaved on the sides and a bit longer on top.
You've
Yeah,
actually,
flip-flop
it's what I've got now as well. My long, like the
Oh.
top is just a lot longer. I have mine currently pulled back in a ponytail, like a
Oh, can I?
like a
Nice. Do you
proper
color it as well,
ponytail.
or is it more, or is it vanilla?
I normally color, but I haven't. I've just got it as my normal brown at the moment, just because quarantine.
Yeah. It's like
It's just sort of
man,
grown
I have.
out.
So
I
I've
have-
just. Can I read your description line there on Instagram? Would that be okay? Kite?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love
Okay.
it.
So I didn't initially clue in. I was like, oh, handsome lad. Okay, cool. And then when I read your description, I was like, oh my God, your sense of humor kills me. Because it says, the adventures of a small, phallically challenged man and his cat. Just... You have such a positive spin on life, Kyte. It's amazing.
Speaking of my cat's just walked in. So if you hear a bell,
Toast!
I apologize. Hang on.
I punched my
Come
mic. Yeah, your cat Toast. That's awesome.
Oh,
Hey, buddy. Yeah.
If we had an editor, this would be the point where I'd say, hey, editor, put up a picture of Toast right now.
He's the cutest cat.
Aw, such a good cat. You've got a dog, or is it your mom has a dog?
Mum's got a dog, Pebbles. Yeah, she's adorable.
aw.
Yeah, no, I thought of that. Like, I've always joked about being phallically impaired, or one of my favorite jokes is I love being a trans man because if I ever wait, this is gonna be a little rude, so you might want to bleep it. I love being a trans guy because if I ever need to, I can just whip my dick out and slap someone. Because it disattaches.
Oh, that is
Yes.
perfect. You
No,
can use it
that's-
instead when
It's
you
a
challenge
weapon.
people to. When you challenge people to duel, instead of using the glove, you can literally use the PP instead.
Well, have you played
That is
Saints Row?
beautiful.
Have you played Saints Row the
Yes.
Third?
No, I haven't.
I think so.
There's a
yeah,
giant-
long time ago.
Purple Dechabat.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
It's
That's
brilliant.
Oh.
amazing.
But yeah,
Did you know that topic when you picked up the
No.
game?
No.
it's my favorite weapon. And like,
Oh, my
it's
goodness.
been even more my favorite weapon ever since coming out as trans. Because I'm like, yeah, I can't do this in real life, but I'm gonna do it in a video game.
I always thought that would be like the superior option to like whenever you don't need it, just like put it away.
Well, I can actually clean it properly.
Shush, everyone
I
can shower
felt
these, so
that.
Get out of
I
here.
felt that.
But you know that song, "Detachable Penis"?
No.
No.
Oh, detachable penis. It's about a guy who wakes up and realizes he doesn't remember where he put his penis.
Oh.
Oh, that's a
And then he
mood.
checks
Relatable.
his cupboards, he checks his closets, he checks under his bed, and then he goes out for a walk and he realizes that someone's found it and given it to someone who's then selling it on like a blanket out in front of their place, like a garage sale, like a yard sale. And so he has to buy it back and he haggles them down in price and then goes home and cleans it. The chorus line is always detachable penis. It's a good song. At least from what I remember from my
I'll
childhood.
have to
but-
listen to that.
I was like, oh, what a superior way to live. Wouldn't that be amazing?
I mean, it is pretty superior. I can choose what size it is.
That too. Yeah. I mean, like if
Oh, I
you're in the
didn't even
mood
think of
to if you're in the mood to not fit pants or if you're in the mood to fit pants. I mean, that's a
Just go
great
out
way
in the
to
club
live.
with the most massive bulge the world has ever seen. You know?
Well, considering I'm 5'3", I'm probably not going to be rocking a 9-incher.
It's that kind of feeling, when you get excited, you kind of pass out from blood feud.
We may
because
be
so much
we may be
rushes to-
straying a little bit outside
All
of
right.
the.
Anyway.
Yeah, let's.
What did you expect?
I did expect to be the one that has to rein all of us in. Yes.
Of course, yes. But you're always the father figure. I'm more like daddy, and now we're more like two rascals running around with yeah.
Yeah, with your detachable penises.
Yes. Yes. I wasn't gonna say it, but then you said it, so I guess it's fine.
So Kyte, you do have a lot of experience and stories to share in this. It seems like your general way of looking at things is it's going to be tough, and that's kind of making it worth it. And on the other side, things will be easier, but such is life. Everything's always going to be an uphill climb. Do you have overarching advice for people that you'd like to convey that you haven't said yet?
Oof.
Could be, talking to family or talking to friends, or it could be just, the way to think about things.
I think the thing that I've learnt the most that I wish someone had told me, because that's all I can really do is reflect on my own experiences, because sometimes talking to family is just not a viable option.
Yes.
I think the thing that I wish someone had just come back in time and throttled into me is, it's your choice, no matter what, doesn't matter what the decision is, it's your choice. And also, it doesn't matter what people think. Like, I know that's such a cliche thing again, but it really does not matter what someone else thinks. Especially...
often...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, it's just... I'm sorry if I'm interrupting.
No, that's okay. I was just saying,
right,
especially in relation to your transition, the only one who really has any choice in that is you. So that really, other people's opinions really doesn't matter at all. So that's to care less a little bit, and not in a way of, oh, I don't give a about anything. Heck about anything. Sorry. I'm trying to censor myself for OT.
Yep.
But not in a way of I don't care about anything at all ever, but more in a way of, no, this is my choice. You can have your opinions, but at the end of the day, it's my choice. Bodily autonomy, I think, is something we need to start teaching people.
I think that's a pretty good life philosophy in general, because I think especially now when we have so much social media and we're connected all the time, we do care a obscene amount about what people think, even people we will never meet, even people whose opinion has no chance of ever impacting our lives in any meaningful way. We still care so much because that's how we're programmed biologically. But yeah, it's very wise to take a step back and say that. Pick and choose whose opinions you want to value.
I
Because
feel
you really can't do that.
I feel a little bit less desperate to chase after opinions now that we're so connected. When we were less connected and it was more like when when people would sign off at night and they'd log out, it's not really a thing anymore. So back then I was constantly like trying to make sure everything's okay, everything's good, and I've got everyone's approval. But now it's okay if not every single person likes you, if not every single person thinks positively about you, because as long as you like you, that's what matters. I think it was harder to see back when the connections were so sparse, but now being able to communicate with so many people, it's a lot easier for me to see. And this is prior to YouTube, but even diving into YouTube, I still found that was quite a common thread between different videos and reading the comments and things. It was just being like, man, I wish people didn't hate me.
That's a whole ass mood.
But that gets better.
Yeah. I think another thing with that is you don't actually have, you can never know what someone actually thinks about you, because you're not in their head, you don't have, you also don't have the perspective of yourself that they have of you. because they're
Yeah.
viewing you from the outside. So something that is innocuous to you might have impacted someone dramatically. So it really, unless it affects you again, it a lot of the times when people ask people to stop doing things, people use the excuse of, oh, well, I didn't mean to. Really doesn't matter if you meant to or not. What matters is that it did. It hurt someone. You can't. And that's the same with the trans thing. Like, if you didn't intend to, going back to asking about questions and stuff, it doesn't matter if you didn't intend to insult or upset your trans friend asking them a question. If you did, accept that and apologize. Don't come up with these excuses of, oh, well, you just took it the wrong way. Well, yeah, because it's about their personal life, So I think that's something people need to start doing a lot more of, and it's something that I'm actively trying to do as well, is when I've upset someone, is not make excuses and say things like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. I've always apologized and then asked what happened, like what went wrong, what can I do better. So I think especially with stuff that relates to medical things and just people's experiences in general, I know people don't like the word offend. If you offend someone, people are going to get offended. That's the thing, and people have the right to be offended. I think figuring out what you did wrong from their perspective is a good way to start going through life, and I'm trying to do it myself. I think that's something cis people should. And cis is not, by the way, cis is not a slur. I've seen it so many times. Cis just means cisgendered. I know you guys probably know what it means.
If you can break that down further, so there may be a number of members in the audience that might not catch on to that.
So cisgendered is someone who's someone whose outward biological gender and their sort of gender identity match up. That's literally all it means.
So like myself and Click as a good example.
Yes. Well,
speak for yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what you guys are doing internally, but...
I'm like 80% sure with Click.
Oh my god, stop it.
No,
but yeah, it's a pretty fair, yes.
It's not a slur.
It's not. It's one of those terms you can kind of slap onto anything, because what is it, like cisgendered white boy?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that people can just pile on top.
But it's also one of those things to sort of differentiate medically, because a lot of cisgendered people wouldn't appreciate being called trans, because that's not what they are. But yeah, so when I say cis, I'm just shortening it so I don't have to say cisgendered all the time.
That's fine.
But yeah, because I've tweeted a couple of times and mentioned the word cis, and boy, do you get jumped on. It's like, no, it literally just means that your biological sex and your gender identity match.
Yeah. It's definitely tricky sometimes. The language we use matters. The way we have conversations matter. But it is always important that we have conversations. And just make sure that both parties are comfortable when having those conversations, not asking questions that are overly invasive. And if you have questions, do your own research. The onus is not on the person you've asked to answer that question. The onus is on you to find that information. I feel like we've gone through a heck of a lot of information. We're actually coming right up to the hour mark, which is usually where we cut things short. But that was, that's a real positive note to end on. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to add, Kyte or Click?
I really like the discussions we had here today. I felt like it could be very informative for many people watching. So definitely a very good podcast. Very happy to have you on, Kyte. What do you think about today's session?
I thought it was pretty fun. Well, it's been 2 days for me. I started on a Thursday and it's now a Friday.
That's right. You did stay up rather late for
God,
this.
yeah.
Well, if you are up for it, Kyte, we usually stick around for a bonus episode after the regular episode.
Yeah,
so we
I'm
can
fine
jump right
with
into that after this.
I'm cool with that.
Beautiful.
If anyone else
Oh,
is interested,
Yep.
on the supporter Discord, I'm always around. There's various different chat rooms and stuff like that. If you got questions, or if you don't understand anything, or not so much, sorry, if you don't really get anything that has come across already, or if you think I've come across differently, let's have a conversation. Communication.
Love that SpongeBob meme.
Communication.
How did you? I literally did the motion. How did you know I was doing that?
I don't know, without a camera, I'm not sure. But I've been practicing that laugh. Anyways, we'll dive into that in the bonus. But
Yeah, I
thank
saw
you,
that in
Kyte,
the
so
last
much
video.
for... Get out of here. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kyte. I'm really glad that we could finally nail you down as a guest. I've been looking forward to this for quite a while.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Yes,
cheers.
finally getting nailed down. So, yes,
Quick,
perfect.
roll the outro, man.
I literally made that same joke in my head.
I like you. We have the same dirty mind. So, and I love how much Lone Topic is suffering because of it.
Boys, stop it.
It's an OT sandwich.
All right. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. It's beautiful. So, all the people watching this at home, I do hope you enjoyed this episode of the Ship Podcast with me, one topic at a time, and also Kyte as our special guest. Make sure to stick around for the bonus episode if you're a patron, and if you're not, feel free to check it out. But we will keep all the main episodes for free here on the main channel. Take care and have an awesome day, night time, or whatever time you live. Mwah.